Welcome to the Georgia Florida Baseball Show, brought to you by Georgia Showcase Baseball and its owner, Coach Ben Howze. Ben, how we doing?
Doing good, KP. How are you?
I'm good. Seems like you said that before.
Yeah.
Ben, obviously it was time to bring in two vital members of your Georgia Showcase Baseball staff, Coach Jamar Parker and J.R. Jamal Daniely. Guys, are y'all doing all right?
Yeah, we're doing great.
Doing great, KP.
Awesome. Today, we're going to focus on Georgia Showcase Baseball, the staff, how the process works, how facilities like this one are very important to both baseball development of young men and young men's development in general, especially on the south side of Atlanta. And we're going to discuss all of that after this.
This is the Georgia Florida Baseball Show, brought to you by Coach Ben Howze with Kevin Perkins from Surrounded by Sports.
Welcome back. First, we want to thank our sponsors, Towns Davis and Associates LLC, winning millions, fighting for justice, fighting for you, and Arden's Garden, Atlanta source for juices, smoothies, and plant-based foods. Also, remember to comment, subscribe, and like this podcast. If you comment on the podcast, we do have a deal offer for you at the end of the episode. You want to listen all the way through to find out about that. Now, Jamar, would you like to give us a little bit of background on yourself, please?
Absolutely. So I started playing baseball at the age of 3 at a park called Gresham Park. It's a great park in the local metro area, well known for the game of baseball. JR also actually came up through that park as well. I had 2 older brothers that played at that park. So that cultivated my love for the game of baseball. I went on to play baseball at McNair High School. We had a coach by the name of Dion Williams. He's a great coach, well known in this area. He played professional ball, so did his father. So he instilled the love of the game of baseball for us. Went on from there and played college baseball. I got a scholarship to play college baseball at Alabama State University. I stayed on and coached a couple of years at Alabama State, and I came home. Started a family. And so my son, actually, I got him into baseball. And that's where JR, myself, and Coach Ben came together. So my son really didn't like the game of baseball too much, but I continued to coach. And so I coached my godson. And so Ben came along and he placed his son on my team. And later on, he invited me to come to a tryout, which actually was the very first showcase baseball team. And so that's where I saw Coach JR again. Ben's son and Coach JR's son played on the same team. And I've been coaching with Showcase ever since.
Awesome. JR, you want to give us a little background real quick?
Sure, KP. Like Jamar said, started my baseball career at the age of 3 as well at Gresham Park. Pretty nationally known park. From there, we went on to play ball for Dion Williams at McNair High School. And Dion Williams is a Hall of Fame coach here in the state of Georgia. And from that, I went to Fort Valley State University, finished Fort Valley State University, came back home. And like Jamar said, our sons were 3 years old, man, and we got rocking and rolling with coaching. And Ben came along with Jamie. We coached those boys up until about 8 years old. And, we went out different ways, but we got back and started the inaugural team at Showcase back in maybe 2016. Those boys were 11 years old at the time.
Okay. Ben, what made you decide these were the 2 guys that you wanted to link back up with when you were starting your own baseball facility and program?
Well, just being around those 2, as I like they said, as our kids came up together, I knew their coaching styles. I knew what they were about. I knew their passion and love for the game, and we had already talked about it. Before I made the move to Showcase Baseball, we had talked about that while we were coaching. I had a plan. To start an organization, and it was always in the back of my mind to start my own program, and once we ventured off into our own lanes, and when I started Showcase Baseball, those were the first two that I thought about to bring on to help me grow this program that we have here now.
Right. Right now, Jamar, you coach 3 different ball clubs at this point in time, and you give some form of training at every position. So you want to talk about your role there? That's a lot.
Yeah. So right now I'm coaching an 8U team and an 11U team. I pick up my 15U team around mid end of May, after the high school season is over. But for right now, I'm coaching the 8s and the 11s. And yes, I do a little training on the side as well. So I mean, it sounds like a lot, but when you have a love and a passion for the game, it's really not. I just enjoy coaching. I enjoy training. I enjoy showing kids a little something different than they're accustomed to and than they're used to. It's just a love and a passion for it. So it sounds taxing, but when you love what you do, it's not really taxing.
How many days a week are you at it?
Every day of the week, brother. So I on Mondays and Tuesdays I'm at practice. On Wednesdays I train. On Thursdays I'm at practice. On Fridays I train, and then the weekend we're rocking and rolling with some of my tournaments. So I alternate weekends with my kids on the weekends.
Right. Right. So you're really doing it about 9 days a week.
Yeah, about 9 days. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, JR, you told me 2019, you decided that it would be best for both the players and yourself if you just moved to straight training about hitting. Is that true? And you want to expand on that?
Well, exactly, KP. I started out coaching, and as the boys got older, I realized there was a deficit in the program, just from a development standpoint. So from there, we just focus on, hitting, fielding, and from there, I just basically wanted to make sure the boys got stronger. And as we started to gravitate as a program and become more competitive, as you know, PG, they really focus on the hitting stats. The game is around hitting. So I wanted to make sure our boys were able to go out and compete and be able to perform on the top level.
Right. Now we've talked about playing every position. We've talked about coaching in team formats. We've talked about hitting and getting stronger. Now, Ben, you were an athlete in all facets of multiple sports and all that, but where you made your way in baseball was on the pitcher's mound, and you coached the pitching there. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah, what I try to focus on, man, is kind of staying in my lane and letting Jamar and JR do their thing. Jamar is real good with the hitting piece and the fielding. JR is real good with the hitting piece and the fielding. Not and they can do pitching as well, but that's my lane. Is I try to stay in my lane just as far as pitching because that's what I played at the next level. And I got a lot of insight on the pitching side of things. So, I just try to stay in my lane with the pitchers and develop the younger pitchers. And all throughout the program is where I kind of focus on is the pitching aspect.
Right. But you also, I've got to think this is fantastic for you, right? You bring in these two guys. Jamar understands that he's gifted in all areas and that he can coach teams and do all these things. And so he takes that role on. JR could do all that, but he sees a need in order for these kids to be competitive. Somebody's got to focus on a huge part of the game, which is hitting. And they could do that stuff. And then you have your facility, as you've developed your facility, you got indoor pitchers mounds, you got outdoor pitchers mounds, you got batting cages. You're starting to get an area where they can train a little bit with weights now. JR mentioned earlier, hey, we're working on kids getting stronger so that they can hit better. And you just told me earlier you're just about to put in a wall so the kids can throw the weighted balls onto it, right? So now, is this what your vision was originally? Are you happy with where you're going with things?
Yes, I'm very happy to where the program is going, because you're now starting to see not only the youth are starting to utilize the facility, but now you got high school players coming in, you got college players coming in, and you got professional players coming in as well. So when you have a facility that's that you can use for not only just indoor training, but you can also go and use the bullpens outside and also the the waste. So it's a facility that you can utilize with whatever area that you want to come in and use it for. If you want to come in and get some strength training, you want to come in and get some hitting, pitching, we have everything here for you.
Right. And it's got to be huge for a kid, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old to come to work today, and that guy who's on a minor league deal, playing college ball, bothers to come in and take some cuts with them because that's a facility they're comfortable using.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that's why we're the staple of the community, because kids that were in the program, kids that aren't in the program, they still come and use this facility throughout the year. When the college kids are playing college baseball, when they're done, they come here and hit. When pro guys are done playing, they come here and hit. And then the younger kids in our program can actually come in and see those guys working. So it's very valuable.
100%. JR, you told me that the first class you guys had was very successful. You want to expand on that a little?
Yeah, KP, we took those guys up to Cooperstown, and they at 12 years old, out of 108 teams, I think they finished in eighth place, and 10 of 12 of those guys went on to play college ball. One kid got drafted, and just to piggyback on what being said, seeing those guys grow and come through the program and come back and still come back and train and utilize the facility, and with the current kids that we have, to know that you keep working, you keep grinding, you too can be in college and potentially get drafted as well. So it's good and it's rewarding to see that the passion that we put into the program, to see these kids go on to play college ball, and just keep us going and keep us driving to move in that direction.
Awesome. Jamar, now when a youngster comes in there and it's day one, you guys have a process you go through to evaluate how this kid is going to be successful. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we do some T drills with them. We let them throw a little, kind of see what his mechanics are like. I ask him if he had a trainer before. I have a philosophy where I don't tell a kid that whatever he's been told by somebody else is wrong. I just try to give him a different perspective and ask him questions like, "Hey, well, what if you tried this, or what if you tried that?" Just to give him something different to think about. We see where he is, we evaluate him, and then we just kind of move on from there and try to develop his skills a little bit more. Because I do mainly coaching. If I get a kid and he's not agreeing with what I'm saying, or he's saying, "Hey, well, I've been taught to do it a different way," then I may in turn say, "Hey, Coach JR, hey, can you look at this and tell me what you think?" And so if we both kind of give him the same type of terminology, then there's validation that, hey, what I'm saying is correct. And also he's hearing it from two different trainers, two different sets of eyes, and he's getting the best of both worlds, so to speak.
Right. And now, Ben, we talked about in our last episode making sure you have a kid come in, you see what he can do, you kind of evaluate him a little bit, and then you come up with a plan, and you got to let those parents know, hey, this is what we need for him to be able to do. And then we start talking about individual workouts, which is the JR department stuff on hitting, right?
Yes. Yeah. So when when the kid comes in, especially pitching wise, I kind of break a kid down from the ground up, and just kind of look at his mechanics, see what he needs to work on. A lot of times, at the younger ages, kids aren't using their bodies. So, my thing is I try to focus on their legs, making sure that they're standing their legs and They're incorporating their core. And then we start working on our arm slots, because you got a lot of kids that have a lot of bad habits. And those habits have been created since they were 3 or 4 years old. So I may get them at 9 or 10. And that's what, like 4 years of bad habits. And, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight, trying to get out 4 years of bad habits. So it's just one of those things that you try to tell the parents that, consistency is what's going to make this thing work. Consistency, coming in to train and also working on it at home, because, training is just like homework. They got to take it from here to home and they got to work on it at home. It just can't be a situation to where they're coming in here and just, throwing a bullpen to actually work on it at home. So, yeah, evaluation is very key to training and making sure that kids are taking things home and working on it. Or else it's going to be a longer process.
100%. Now, JR, we were talking before, weight distribution is everything.
Absolutely. We're training. I try to break down the kids and focus on making sure they stay in their legs and stay behind their front hip and stay inside the baseball. So during the training process, I try to incorporate as well as those training drills, but strengthening some type of focus so the kids learn that you got to have some strength to drive a baseball. So, we start out using a lot of wood. Try to get the parents to understand, like, look, you can't just go out here with these tennis racket bats and expect results as the kids get older. With the wood, it teaches them, it gives them immediate feedback. So, we just break them down, go through the evaluations, and try to get the parents to know that, like being said, it has to be consistent. We do off-season workouts. A lot of parents take those off-season workouts and go into the season and they stop training until they get out there and realize that, okay, he's going back to the same habit. So then they come in and we have to start all over with the training. But, the more we get this information out there, KP, and get parents on board with the training and development, the more successful the kids will be with the game.
Right.
Yeah.
You're devising a program for them both when they're with you and when they go home.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
yeah.
you got it.
KP, a lot of times parents will see success in their kids and they may train with Jamar, they may train with JR, or they may train with me, and they may start seeing some success and they'll stop training. And then they'll go back to that bad habit after maybe a few more games or whatever, and they'll go back and then they want to bring them back in. And that's why I was saying we're talking about that consistency.
Right. Let's take a break on that. We're going to take a break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll come back. I got a couple questions for Jamar, and then we're going to kind of get into the home stretch of this. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Georgia Showcase Baseball would like to thank our sponsors. Arden's Garden, Atlanta's source for smoothies, juices, and plant-based foods. Towns LLC, attorneys and counselors at law, winning millions fighting for justice for you. And Showcase Apparel, the fit for your team. Please support those who support Georgia Showcase Baseball. Like and subscribe the Georgia Showcase YouTube channel. Stay tuned at the end of this episode and find out how to win a unique prize from Showcase Apparel.
All right. And we are back. Now, Jamar, you told me that you like because you coach different age groups. You have teams with different age groups, but you said you kind of like having kids from different age groups working together. Do you want to talk about why that makes sense?
Yeah. So when you go to a high school team, you have freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a mentoring that happens with that. And so I like to do the same thing with training sometimes, where I get an older kid and a younger kid and put them together and see if that older kid can mentor that younger kid. If that older kid sees something that we reiterated in the facility, then he kind of takes on that role of saying, hey, you did this wrong. Hey, you did that wrong. Hey, you might want to try this. And so it kind of becomes natural um, that older kids become a leader. He becomes a mentor. And the younger kids seeing an example of someone who's actually come through the facility and trained, and he see that person on a regular basis. He gets a little bit more out of it once he sees someone that's just a tad bit older than him doing something and applying something that he's been taught. So again, just that leadership, that mentorship is something that I think is vital with these younger kids and teaching these older kids.
Right. When you're 9 years old, you look up to the 12-year-old.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it's one thing to hear. See, what was neat about when you told me that, it blew my mind, because I've never heard anybody say or even do what you were doing naturally when I was watching the practice the other day, which was have that scenario. And then when you explained it to me, you dummied it down for me to the 9th and 12th. It made sense, because you do look up to that senior. But when you're 9, you're looking up to the 12-year-old. And if
Absolutely.
the 12-year-old reiterates what the coach, just like you said, if I say something, I send you to JR and he tells me the same thing. I mean, if you say something to me and then I go to JR and he tells me the same thing, that makes sense. I've heard it from two people. But now if a guy that's I look up to a little bit, that's another kid, tells me the same thing, okay, now it really starts to be the kind of thing where, hey, I want to be like him anyway. So I'm going to start doing what he's doing and what I need to be doing. Is that what?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. The other thing you were talking about with me the other day, Jamar, was body maintenance. Now, we've already talked a little bit about lifting weights with JR, but these kids are playing a lot of baseball on the weekend. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, maintaining your body, making sure that they're eating right, um, making sure there's a good workout program that's happening. Not so much with the younger kids. We use a lot of body weight exercises and things for the younger kids, but with the older kids, making sure they're doing the right exercises too. Something that's right for the game of baseball, not just exercises. You have to maintain your body and make sure you're flexible. It's not just about lifting weights. It's about your torque, your core. So you don't work the same muscles you may work, in the football environment or basketball and things of that nature. So, just making sure that they get the right exercises, the right maintenance, the right tools, and, making sure they're doing it the right way.
Right. But also, now, how many games is a kid playing on the weekend nowadays?
Well, it varies. So of course it depends on whether or not you're winning or losing, but most kids are guaranteed at least 3 games when you're playing in tournaments, and especially in this good Georgia heat. You have to make sure that you're hydrated. Make sure that you eat right. You're not eating a lot of sweets. Make sure you're not eating a lot of sugars. Make sure you got a balanced meal, something that can carry you through the entire day. Even in between games, the kids like to go to that concession stand and get a lot of candy and fruit and things of that nature. And so, we just encourage, hey, bringing you a sandwich, bringing you, some vegetables, some fruit, water. Even a lot of Gatorade is not necessarily good sometimes because there's a lot of sugar in that stuff.
Right.
So again, just taking care of their bodies during the course of a long weekend. Making sure they're, staying in the shade and staying hydrated, and just taking care of themselves.
Right. I like Skittles.
Yeah, it's a staple with baseball. Yeah, it's a staple.
And I think it's important to make sure people understand, because I've heard all of you guys say this before. Sometimes you're going to lose, but the most important thing is that you're learning the right skills to be effective later, right?
Yes. Yeah. So in my experience, and you lose some parents in this way, and you lose some kids this way, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Sometimes you have to put certain kids in certain situations to fail and succeed. That's the only way they're going to learn. Everybody knows the old cliche: baseball is a game of failures. But a lot of times I think coaches get caught up in trying to win, and so they only put certain kids in certain situations. And everybody wants to win, of course, but my end goal is the success of each and every kid on that team. And so sometimes that one kid that normally doesn't get the reps, sometimes they have to be placed in certain situations in order to see how well they perform. And you develop a kid based on that. And again, sometimes you're going to lose some parents, because if you lose a tournament as a result of that decision, then hey, this coach is not effective enough to win this tournament. But again, my end goal is to make sure that all of those kids can make a high school team, a college team, or just kind of excel, in the game of life. Because again, that kid needs to learn how to fail and how to succeed. And that's just been my approach from the beginning, and I've maintained that same approach all the way through.
I think that's everybody here's approach. I think what's neat to me is you have a guy that sees the big picture in Ben, but also handles, the pitchers, even though he could do other things. JR, his goal can be very individual oriented because he doesn't coach the games, right? And then you get to see the bigger picture, Jamar. And so you have this really best of both worlds as you guys try to develop kids that you're basically trying to help parents raise hardworking, goal-oriented young people who understand how individual success can work in a team dynamic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's everything. I think I want to wrap on that. Ben, you want to tell people how they can find you if they need to find you and get in touch with us?
Yeah. My direct number is 678-469-5994. My IG is showcase_baseball GA, and my email address is showcasebaseball.georgia spelled out @gmail.com.
Got it. JR, you'll tell anybody how to find you?
Yeah, you can find me. My phone number is 770-330-1120. You can find me through the website and the information that Ben just gave out.
Awesome. Jamar?
678-717-7743. And you can also find me on the website as well.
Right. Now, Ben, real quick before we wrap, I don't think we mentioned this much. This is a nonprofit organization, right?
Correct.
Right. So, folks, if you want to get involved in this and help out in this process, reach out to Ben. Things can get worked out so you can help out in the process. Now, this is a wrap for this episode. However, it's going to be a little bit of continuation as Ben tells you how you can comment after you have liked, subscribed, you comment, and then you can win a t-shirt designed for you or your program. And we're going to tell people on the next episode who the first couple of winners are. Okay? Guys, we ready to go?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Great job,
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. And the cool thing about this one is we're going to be on more and more episodes together as we go through. Thank you so much, fellas.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Appreciate
having me.
it, KP. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
All right.
First of all, thank you very much for watching this episode. And again, thank you to our sponsors, Arden's Garden, Atlanta's source for juices, smoothies, and plant-based foods, and Towns, Davis and Associates, LLC, earning millions, fighting for justice for you. But Showcase Apparel, who is also a sponsor of this show, obviously that is connected to Georgia Showcase Baseball, is going to be offering a deal for you if you like, subscribe, and comment on these episodes. Ben, what are we going to do for folks?
Well, Kevin, for those that are subscribers, we're going to offer them a free T-shirt, courtesy of Showcase Apparel, and that T-shirt will be the representation of your organization. If you have a travel team that you're connected with, we're going to make a customized T-shirt in your size for you. Whatever team that you're representing, we're going to make we're going to have a free T-shirt for you guys. So the way that you're going to get the T-shirt is you're going to comment in the section, and we're going to choose which comment that we prefer, and we will get the T-shirt to you by DM. You have to go into my direct message on showcase_baseball_GA, and we will get your information and we'll get the T-shirt shipped out to you.
Awesome. All you got to do is like, subscribe, comment. We'll pick a random person every episode. Send them a shirt.
Yes.
Awesome.